I, 32 male, am a forensic accountant. My job literally revolves around finding things that don't add up, hidden assets, cookbooks, inconsistencies in stories that people swear are true. My ex-fiancée comes from what you call old money, or at least a family that's very good at pretending they still have it. We were 3 weeks away from a wedding that cost more than my student loans and first car combined. The relationship had been nosediving for about 6 months. It wasn't explosive fights. It was a cold, creeping indifference. She stopped coming home for dinner. Her phone was suddenly glued to her hand with a new passcode, and she started picking at my lack of ambition despite the fact that I earn a very comfortable living. I convinced her to go to premarital counseling, thinking it was just cold feet. She agreed, but she walked into that office like she was walking to the gallows. We were sitting there, the white noise machine humming in the corner, when the therapist asked $1 million question. Why do you want to marry him? My fiancée didn't look at me. She was picking at a loose thread on the sofa, looking bored. She sighed a long, heavy exhale and said, I don't. I've been unhappy for years. I'm only here because my parents paid for the wedding already. We can't cancel. The invitations are out. It would be humiliating for them. She turned to look at me then, and her eyes were dead. No tears, no regret. Just annoyance that she had to say it out loud. She viewed our marriage not as a partnership, but as a contractual obligation to save face for her family. I sat there, and my forensic brain just clicked over. The variable had changed. The equation no longer balanced. If the money was the only tether holding the charade together, then the solution was simple. I stood up and adjusted my jacket. Then let me make this easy. I pulled out my phone. My fiancée looked confused. What are you doing? Solving the problem. I said. I dialed her mother. I put it on speaker and held the phone out between us. It rang twice. Hello? Darling. Tell me you decided on hydrangeas. The florist is breathing down my neck. Her mother's voice chirped. It's me, I said. We're in therapy. Your daughter just admitted she's been unhappy for years and is only marrying me because you paid for the wedding. Silence on the other end. My fiancé's face went pale, not from sadness, but from shock that I dared to break the script. I am not going to trap her in a marriage she doesn't want over a party budget, I continued, keeping my voice steady. I know the total comes to roughly $85,000. I am willing to reimburse you every single penny right now. I'll wire it today. Consider the debt settled. I waited. I expected shock. I expected a mother's concern. And Maya let out a sharp, dismissive laugh. Don't be dramatic. You can't reimburse reputation. The senators are invited. Just fix it. And if you're going to be difficult, make sure you sign the prenup before you walk down the aisle, or so help me God, I will ruin you. She hung up. I looked at my fiancée. She wasn't ashamed. She looked relieved that the pressure was back on me. See, she said, shrugging. It's too late. Just sit down. She actually expected me to sit back down. She thought I was just a prop in her life. I looked at the therapist, who looked horrified. No, I said, it's not too late. I walked out. My fiancée scrambled up, chasing me to the parking lot. You can't just leave. My parents will destroy you. You know who my father knows. I know exactly who he knows, I said, unlocking my car, and I know what he owes. I drove straight to the bank. I didn't go home because I knew she'd be there to gaslight me. I authorized a wire transfer for $85,000 to her father's account. It wiped out a significant chunk of my savings, money I had ground away for years to build, but it was the price of freedom. I added a memo to the wire transfer. Full reimbursement for wedding costs. Contract terminated. Then I texted her. Money sent. Check your dad's account. We are done. I'm coming by with a moving truck in 2 hours. Have your things out of the master bedroom. I thought I had bought my way out. I was wrong. I had just declared war on a family that viewed people as property. When I arrived at our apartment 2 hours later, my key wouldn't turn. The locks had been changed. I knocked firmly. Go away. Her voice came through the door. My father is calling his lawyer. You abandoned the relationship. This is my apartment now. The lease was in both our names. I paid 70% of the rent. It's a joint lease, I said, leaning against the door frame. Open the door, or I call the landlord and a locksmith. Try it, she hissed. I told the doorman you were violent. I told him I didn't feel safe. He's not letting you back up if you leave. She had weaponized my calmness against me. I knew if I called the police now, it would be a domestic dispute, where the guy usually gets told to take a walk. I didn't leave. I went to the lobby, sat in the waiting area, and pulled out my laptop. If she wanted to play dirty, she forgot she was dealing with a guy who traces hidden assets for a living. I started digging into her father's business. I had helped him structure his consulting firm 2 years ago, so I knew where the bodies were buried. While I was pulling records, my phone blew up. Text from MIL. You ungrateful little worm. We received the transfer. It's not enough. Emotional damages. Loss of standing. We are keeping the venue. The wedding happens in 3 weeks, with or without you. If you don't show up, we will sue you for breach of promise. Also, my daughter is keeping the ring. Compensation for her wasted years. The ring. A 2.5 carat heirloom diamond I had reset. Value. $28,000. In our state, an engagement ring is a conditional gift. If the marriage doesn't happen, the ring comes back. I texted back. The wedding is off. The money was a settlement to end ties. Return the ring by tomorrow, or I file a police report for theft. I finally got into the apartment when the landlord arrived for his rounds. I showed him the lease and my ID. He let me in with a master key. The apartment was trashed. Not random rage trash, but calculated. My clothes were in garbage bags. My laptop charger was cut. But the real kicker? She wasn't alone. Sitting on my couch was a guy I recognized. Her work mentor. The one she told me not to worry about. She stood up defiant. He's just here for moral support. Is that why his belt is unbuckled? I asked. I didn't rage. I pulled out my phone and snapped a photo of them. Get out, I said. This is my home, she screamed. Actually, I said, I just spoke to the landlord. He's reviewing the security footage of you changing the locks without permission. And since I paid the deposit and the last 3 months of rent alone, I think you should check your email. I had forwarded the landlord proof of her threats to sublet the place illegally from months ago. She grabbed her purse. You'll regret this. My father will bury you. She stormed out with her mentor. I was alone. I looked at the empty apartment. I checked my bank account. $85,000 gone. Ring gone. Furniture damaged. I sat down and opened the file I had been building on FIL. The wedding money I reimbursed. I traced where it came from originally. It wasn't savings. It was a loan from a shell company FIL used to wash money for his construction contracts. And the venue? Here is where the forensic details matter. The venue contract was in my name because FIL had credit issues at the time of booking. I had signed it. They had paid me, and I paid the venue. I realized the trap they had set. They wanted to keep the venue for a family gala to save face, using the money I just funded them to pay for catering, all while I remained legally liable for any damages or overages on the contract. They wanted to have their party on my credit score. I picked up the phone and called the venue manager. Hi, this is my name. I'm the contract holder for the event on the 14th. I need to cancel. Oh, sir, the manager said. Your mother-in-law just called. She said to switch the event to a family gala and that you authorized it. I did not. I said clearly, I am canceling the event. Completely. I want the cancellation clause invoked immediately. Sir, since it's so close to the date, the refund is only 50%. You'll lose the other 50%. I don't care about the refund, I said. I want the event canceled. I want the date wiped. I want security notified that if anyone from that family shows up, they are trespassing. Understood, the manager said. It's done. I hung up. I had just torched their social event of the season. They had the $85,000 I sent back, but they had nowhere to spend it, and invitations were already on fridges across the city. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was FIL. You listen to me, he growled. You fix this. Now. No, I said. And by the way, I want my ring back. Or I forward your shell company's tax returns to the IRS. I know about the consulting fees in the Caymans. Silence. You wouldn't, he whispered. Try me? We can discuss the ring, he said, voice dropping, trying to sound reasonable. Let's not be hasty. I want in my hand in 1 hour, I said, or I hit send. An hour later, a courier arrived with the ring. No note. I put it in my safe. Step 1 complete. But I wasn't done. They had threatened to ruin my reputation. They tried to steal my apartment. They wasted years of my life. I knew they would spin a narrative that I was abusive to explain the canceled wedding. I needed to get ahead of the story. I logged into the wedding website. Since I was the techie one, I had the only admin access. I didn't write a rant. I simply uploaded a single PDF document to the Our Story page. Title: The wedding is canceled. Text: Due to insurmountable differences regarding the nature of our commitment, the wedding has been canceled. All gifts will be returned. Below that, I posted a transcript of our therapy session, written down verbatim, time-stamped, and the photo of my fiancée and her mentor on my couch, timestamps included. I didn't publish it to the world. I just emailed the link to the guest list. The guest list included her father's business partners, local politicians, and church elders. Then I went to legal war. I visited a lawyer the next morning. I laid out everything: the lease, the ring, the reimbursement, wire transfer, and the threats. You sent them $85,000, the lawyer asked, eyebrows raised. I want to be clean, I said. I didn't want to owe them a dime. Well, the lawyer smiled, a shark-like grin. Technically, since the contract for the venue was in your name and you canceled it, the venue refunded 50% of the total cost of the card on file, which is yours, so you got half the venue cost back. I nodded. I was still out about $40,000 net, but it was worth it. Let's file a cease and desist regarding their business threats, the lawyer said. 2 days later, the fallout began. The email blast had hit. FIL's phone was ringing off the hook. He wasn't just losing money. He was losing face. In their world, embarrassment is worse than bankruptcy. The mentor my fiancé was cheating with, he was married. His wife was on the guest list. My ex tried to call me. Please, take it down. You're ruining lives. I blocked the number. Then came the dirty trick I had anticipated. I was at work when 2 police officers showed up. Sir, we have a report of domestic disturbance and a request for a temporary restraining order filed by your ex-fiancée. The officer said, she claims you threaten her physical safety and are harassing her family. I invited them into a conference room. I opened my laptop. Officers, I haven't seen her in 3 days. Here is the security footage from my apartment building showing her leaving with another man. Here are the text logs where I strictly discuss financial separation. And here, I played the recording of the phone call with her mother on speaker. The officers listened to the mother threaten to ruin me. She's using the tarot to try to force a settlement. I said calmly, it's a misuse of police resources. The officers looked at each other. They've seen this before. We still have to serve you the papers, the officer said, looking apologetic. But make sure you bring this evidence to the hearing. The judge won't be happy with her. The hearing was set for the same day the wedding was supposed to be. The courtroom was sterile. My ex sat with her lawyer, looking like a tragic victim. She wore no makeup, dressed in modest black. It was a performance. Her lawyer started weaving a tale of a volatile, controlling man who snapped under the pressure of a high society wedding. He claimed I had hacked the website and stolen the ring. When it was my turn, my lawyer didn't make a speech. He just submitted the evidence. Exhibit A, the bank transfer showing I reimbursed every cent of the wedding costs voluntarily. Controlling men don't usually pay $85,000 to leave. Exhibit B, the text messages from her mother threatening me. Exhibit C, the affidavit from the mentor's wife, who confirmed the affair after seeing my email. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, read through the file. She peered over her glasses at my ex. You filed for a restraining order because he emailed the guest list? He humiliated me, my ex sobbed. I'm afraid of what he'll do next. It seems to me, The judge said, her voice dry as dust, that he has done everything in his power to extricate himself from your life, including paying your parents back a significant sum. The only harassment I see here is coming from your side of the aisle. The gavel came down. Petition dismissed with prejudice. And, counselor, she looked at my ex's lawyer. Warn your clients that filing false reports is a crime. If I see you back here, sanctions will follow. We walked out of the courthouse. Her parents were waiting in the hallway. Her father looked like he had aged 10 years. His business was under audit. I hadn't even sent the tip yet. Turns out someone else he screwed over beat me to it. But the chaos I caused surely didn't help. Her mother lunged at me. You ruined my daughter's life. I stopped. I didn't back away. No, I said, loud enough for the passing attorneys to hear. She was unhappy for years. She told me so. I just gave her what she wanted. I gave her an out. I looked at my ex. She wouldn't meet my eyes. You have the money, I said to them. You have your daughter back. You have the ring. We are square. You cost us our reputation, the mother shrieked. Your reputation, I said, was bought on credit, and the bill came due. I walked away. I didn't look back. It's been 6 months. I broke the lease on the apartment, paid the penalty fee just to be done with it, and left her figure out her own living situation. I took the money from selling the ring and the partial refund from the venue and put a down payment on a small cabin upstate. My ex is living with her parents. The mentor dumped her when his wife threatened to take half his assets. Her father is currently fighting a federal indictment for wire fraud. Turns out, when you start a war, you better make sure your own fortress isn't made of glass.